All right, good morning, everybody. So I want to show you how to put the base on this. I know my other video probably randomly stopped because I was like, oh, I went too long and there's a bell. All right, so what I want to show you is how to put the base on. Now, I'm going to put the base on this side, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing on this edge, so I put the larger side down. But you are going to put this on an extra piece of clay where it fits. Like this side is actually too big because it hangs over the side. But you're going to take your needle tool and you're going to trace around and you're going to trim through to create a circle. Okay. So this part, you want to make sure that you've got your circle all nice and circly, right? You want it to look like a circle on the bottom if that's the shape that you're going for. And you're going to trim off the extra. Now, if you were making a square base, then the base is going to be square. If you were making a triangular base, then the base is going to be a triangle. If, you know, whatever the base shape, you're just tracing that as your bottom piece. Oh, BKB. Now you don't want a ton of extra clay. Like if you have a little bit here and there where it's hanging over the side, that's okay. You just don't want a ton. Now sometimes people will tell me, they're like, oh my God, my bottom's already stuck. I don't even need to slip and score it. Yes, you do. Because right now it looks like it's stuck, but when it goes in the kiln, it's going to pop off and then you're going to be like, but Ms. E, my bottom came off. And nobody wants their bottom to come off. So we're going to score both sides. And if it's stuck on there and you're like, no, really, it's not coming off, you stick your hand from the inside and go pop, right? Okay. Because you have to slip and score. All right. So support with your finger. I'm going to use my nifty tool for the sake of time, but really it's so much easier as an intro student if you just do it with your needle tool. It really is. And you'll notice that I'm supporting, and as long as I have my tool coming from the inside and going to the outside, I'm not going to stab myself. So score for us. Let's not stab ourselves. Okay. So we're going to go all the way around. Yay. Oh, there we are. And then we're going to do multiple directions. Yay. There it is. Make sure it's still a circle. Clean off your tool. And now you got to score this side. So I just like to go from the outside. I rotate it. And remember, there's a difference between just this and that, right? So you really got to get in there and make sure that it's actually scored really well. Because if you don't score really well, it'll look like it's fine. And then in the kiln, it'll pop off. And every clay is different. So there's some videos on, YouTube. It'll be like, you don't even have to score. Look. You can just add a little bit of water. It's the kind of clay that they're using. And, when you're in a environment where you're controlling everything, like you're the only one using the kiln, you're the only one who's touching your stuff, and you have the right kind of clay, then you can do that kind of stuff. But with our clay, you have to slip and score. So now you're going to take your little water, kind of tap off the extra, kiss it like a dewdrop fairy. Slip it like a dewdrop fairy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And now we're going to add the lid on, okay? So you're going to kind of twist it around, see which way it was supposed to go. Boop, boop. And then you're going to gently push down around the edges like so. Boop, 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 boop. No, even in the videos, it makes silly noises. All right, so we're squishing all the way around. Now, you want goobery stuff to come out on the side, okay? That means that you did enough scoring and you have enough slip. And, as long as it's not like dripping down the side like crazy, then you didn't add too much slip. That's good. Now, if you have a ton of extra clay, you're going to want to trim it off. And now's the time to actually trim it off. So try to keep your area as clean as you can. But if you have a bunch of clay hanging off the side, now's the time to clean it. And when you get goobers on your tool, clean it off. So I usually just dump them into the slip bucket because slip is just liquid clay, right? It's water and clay. So if a little bit of clay gets into your slip bucket, that's okay. It's just more slippy than watery. So we're gonna go around, squishy, squishy, shwoo. Now, if it doesn't look beautiful yet, that's okay, because we're gonna make it beautiful in like 2 seconds. Okay, maybe a minute, less than a minute. Clean off my tool. Okay, we'll just go like that. There was a little ridge on there, which made it look super thick, but it wasn't actually a ridge. It was just a cutting mark. All right, so now I still need to get rid of some of this because that does not look finished, okay? So if you have any little hangy bits on here, you can pull the hangy bits off, right? Okay, so now for this last bit for adding on, you're gonna actually put your hand inside. You're gonna bring your finger all the way down so it's touching the base. So my finger is right here because you really need some inside support to do this next part, okay? So make sure your finger's clean, or at least, you know, the part you're gonna use is clean. So you're gonna set it over here on the edge of the base and you're gonna roll it over the side. And then you're gonna move the cup a little bit so your inside finger moves, and you're gonna roll it over the side. Now, it's really important that you have your hand in there supporting, and if you don't, it's gonna squish, and instead of having this nice, beautiful edge that looks all slick and cool, you're gonna be like, what happened, Missy? I'm gonna be like, maybe you should rewatch that video, right? So you're supporting, twisting, smoothing. So supporting, twisting, smoothing, wee. Here we go, around the edge. I have to say, since I started making these videos, I know that I chatter a lot and I make silly comments and stuff, but when I listen to myself in class, it's kind of hilarious because it's like, oh my gosh, I did just say that. Like right now, I'm saying this and I'm gonna watch it in class. I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I did just say that. It's just part of the process. It's just part of the process. All right, so now I got all the way around and I supported. And so now that edge looks pretty smooth. So you wanna always go back and check and make sure that you're kind of like even and everything's round and, or whatever shape it is you're trying to make, right? Now the inside looks terrible, right? So for the inside, you gotta stick your finger in there and smooth it. If your finger's too big or your hand's too big, then you can use one of the wooden tools, like, you know, pick one with a rounded end. That looks kind of like a finger. Sometimes people will be like, oh, she'll never know. Let me take a paintbrush and paint water all over the bottom of my cup. And then the next day, like, they'll wrap it up at the end of the period. And the next day they'll be like, why did my project, like, the bottom, look, it's all weird. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you don't paint water on the bottom of your project. So you're just gonna smooth it with your finger. Our clay does not do well with extra water. Other clays do, our clay doesn't. So just make sure you follow the rules of the clay. And in this case, smooth with your finger, not with water. All right. So now we've got our base on, we've got our side, we've got, you know, it's smoothed on this edge. I can spend some more time smoothing around the outside, making it look really nice. And the next thing that we'll do is once it is all leather hard. So thanks everybody.